Another glorious afternoon for baseball. 84 degrees as we get set to go. From Camelback Ranch, Glendale, Arizona, it's Dodgers spring training baseball as the Dodgers today take on the Milwaukee Brewers. Hi again, everybody. Rick Monday along with Steve Lyons as we get set to go. As we mentioned, the temperature is absolutely perfect, and this crowd coming in here this afternoon, the Dodgers against the Milwaukee Brewers, and also coming in, Ryan Braun, last year's National League MVP, and the runner-up to Ryan Braun, Matt Kemp of the Dodgers. So high fives and salutations down the left field line. But, Steve, what we do know, Chris Capuano going for the Dodgers here this afternoon. Capuano, his fifth start so far this spring. He's been right on the money. And believe it or not, Francisco Rodriguez is going to start for the Brewers. No, he's not been moved to the starting rotation. He's still a reliever. We'll see him probably for one inning, but there's a story behind that. But two guys who work rather quickly. Yeah, the Brewers don't have a starter in their rotation today, so they're going with all their relievers. And, you know, as you said, K-Rod will go out there and start things off. He wants to make sure that he sees major league hitting, so he's going to be the starter today. Well, there's a lot of things that are going on. Sean Markham for the Brewers is pitching in a AAA game for them, finding out really what's happening with shoulder tendonitis that he has. So Frankie Rodriguez will start. Chris Capuano, a former Brewer himself, the young man out of Duke University, he works very quickly, and one of the big things we've seen so far in spring training, good changeup. Yeah, good changeup, and he's got a lot of different pitches. He works both sides of the plate really well. He doesn't overpower you. He knows he's got to hit his spots. Well, Capuano, Rodriguez starting. Happy to have you with us when we come back to Arizona. We'll have the starting lineups, and then the first pitch. Dodgers and Brewers coming up next. Milwaukee Brewers coming over to Camelback Ranch, Glendale, and Ron Renicky, the runner-up to the National League Manager of the Year to Kirk Gibson, will have his lineup this way. Ricky Weeks will lead it off. He's at second base. Carlos Gomez will be in center field. Ryan Braun in left. Brooks Conrad will start at third base. Jonathan Lucroy, new contract in hand just a couple of days ago doing the catching. Matt Gamble trying to make this ball club at first. Cesar Turris, a late replacement at the shortstop position. Norichika Aoki will be in right field, and then Francisco Rodriguez, K-Rod, will be on the mound, and he will bat in the ninth spot, but we will probably not see him around long enough to bat in that ninth spot. One thing about Chris Capuano, Steve, we talked about the changeup, but he has really shown control, working to both sides of the plate this spring, and that slider has been very productive as well. And he needs all his pitches to be working for him. Everybody knows he doesn't throw that hard anymore. He's getting up there, and he's had some arm surgeries. I talked to him earlier today, and he said,
you know, I'm going to throw the two-seamer, I'm going to throw the four-seamer, I'm going to mix in my breaking balls, I'm going to try to stay on both sides of the plate, and if I need to, I'll invent a pitch out there if I'm in a little bit of trouble, see if I can get somebody out that way.
Well, Capuano wants to get some ground balls, and behind him some leather, and hoping that they can do the job as well. See the infield of Fields at third base, showing that versatility. Sellers is at short. Becker is playing at second. Juan Ramirez at first. Outfield from left to right. Jerry Harrison Jr., Matt Kemp in center, Andre Ethier right, A.J. Ellis again doing the catching. So the Dodgers are down to 37 players as we get set to go, and the opening day in San Diego just 6 days away. The Dodgers, of course, on Monday night will be at Anaheim, then at Dodger Stadium on Tuesday night and Wednesday afternoon. And this ball club will take some extra players, Steve, in that freeway series, just in case. You hate to even mention injuries, but in the back of everyone's mind, managers, coaches, and players alike, it's there.
Yeah, when I was talking to Dan Donahue earlier today, that was the main topic of conversation. He said, you know, most of these guys are ready to go right now, and he says what you worry about is that they get a little complacent. When you do that, you back off a little bit. Number one, you can get yourself into bad habits, and number two, you can get injured when you're kind of just going through the motions out there. And he said he'd really like to get out of here and maybe get into those freeway series games where the adrenaline picks up a little bit.
So Ricky Weeks will start it off for the Milwaukee Brewers. Weeks will be joined by followed by Gomez and then Braun. Brewers come on a record of 11 wins, 14 losses, and 2 ties. Capuano and took something off the first pitch, a swing and a miss. Ricky Weeks hitting at .314 in the spring with 7 doubles.
7 doubles, no home runs yet this spring. You remember Ricky Weeks 2 seasons ago had 29 homers, had 20 last year. Not your typical leadoff hitter.
Capuano comes right back again. Capuano is an interesting study. Out of Duke University, an economics major. He is a very heady type of a player. He's had 2 different Tommy John surgeries, but he understands mechanically how to pitch, and he handles it emotionally as well.
Certainly this Milwaukee ball club knows him. He had some of his best years while pitching in the Brewer organization. 05, he was 18-12, an 18-game winner. It's a lot of wins.
And the first 18-game winner for the Brewers in 18 years, oddly enough. The 1-2 and got him. Tagged out by Ellis, so not a bad way to go, and that's not challenging with fastball. That's moving the ball around with movement itself.
And when you're a hitter and you go back to the dugout and you're walking back there after a strikeout, that's exactly what you're saying to yourself. Come on, throw one up here. And none of those pitches that Capuano threw Weeks could break a pane of glass, but guess what? Strike 3, go sit down.
Well, there's some concern. No one's talking about it as far as Ricky Weeks. That's the 13th strikeout in 36 at-bats for Weeks. Here's Carlos Gomez hitting just about .220 so far this spring with 4 doubles. And the Milwaukee Brewers trying to repeat last year where they went 96-66, the National League Central Division champions. They took first place by 6 games over the next closest ball club in that Central Division. The big question as you look at Gomez, the .224 average is, okay, how do you make up offensively for the loss of Prince Fielder?
Well, hopefully they don't ask him to pick up a lot of the load. He's not noted as a guy that's going to hit a lot of balls out of the ballpark. And quite frankly, average-wise, he hasn't been a guy that has been anywhere near 300 in his career. But, you know, he's a big kid and he can fly and he plays tremendous defense. They're hoping that he develops a little bit more into more of an offensive threat.
1-2, and that pitch is downstairs. Of course, you think about the offense. Yes, they're able to sign Ryan Braun. Corey Hart is a little bit of a question mark. A big slugger, played in a AAA game yesterday. He's playing again today, back-to-back. Foul down the left field line. Corey Hart, in case you're not aware of it, had knee surgery 3 weeks ago. So coming back, they expect him to be ready, but they're really not going to know until Sunday probably.
It's amazing, isn't it? 3 weeks ago, he has knee surgery. He's back playing today. Hurts me just thinking about it.
The surgery or coming back?
Definitely the surgery. I wouldn't even think about the other.
Gomez and the 2-2 from Capuano. Broken bat. And the lob throw over from Josh Fields. So there's that ground ball out. We talked about the defense. And here's Ryan Braun. And it has been a long spring so far, hitting at 161. And you can see he's hearing it as he comes to home plate. Also got a very good shot of Ron Renicky, the former Dodger and a former teammate. One of the truly lovely human beings that you will find. And he has been asked about Ryan Braun. He knows he's going to hear some catcalls when he's on the road in particular. He appealed that suspension. They held up the appeal. And he's active and ready to go. You just wonder, Steve is in the background hitting at 161 in the spring. Is it just one of those numbers, or is it a result of the fact that he knows he's on the spotlight? He knows that people are looking at him, but the appeal was upheld that Ryan Braun had, and he says, look, I didn't do anything.
Clearly the spotlight's been on this kid for a long time, but it's glaring a little differently now. People are looking at him in a different light. And, you know, as you said, one of the things that I liked about it is from the get-go, when the first test came up positive, he said, I didn't do anything. Test me again. I'll do anything you want. This is a mistake. They tested him again. It was a negative test. And, you know, they went through the entire process, and they deemed him fit and ready to play and not a steroid user. So, you know, people can be upset about it, but at the end of the day, he went through the entire process the correct way, and they cleared him of the charge. So I think that's good for baseball. It's certainly good for him.
And for Ryan Braun, he makes the exclamation mark, and he sends it a long way in a 1-2 pitch. And for Braun, his second of the spring. And Capuano had him 0-2, then went 1-2, and then Braun went out of the ballpark.
Well, he's a Milwaukee Brewer, obviously, but it's certainly a good sign for him because he had not been swinging the bat well, as you mentioned. Maybe some of those things wearing on him, but that's just not a good 0-2 pitch right out over the plate, and he hit it over the bullpen out there. That ball is just absolutely waffled. Just his second home run of the spring, and is hitting right around 160 so far.
Yeah, well, the numbers will get higher during the season. Here's Brooks Conrad, switch hitter, playing at third base today. And for Conrad, hitting just barely above the Mendoza line so far this spring, but he shows some versatility, and that's one of the things that the Brewers are hoping they can see more of. Popped up and down the line, and that will fall into the crowd. You know, versatility, and talking about Conrad, he can play so many different positions if needed in an emergency. He could also get behind the dish and catch, and you underline emergency, but he's a switch hitter on top of it.
Yeah, and you know, he's going to have to be noted as one of those, maybe a little bit more of an offensive utility guy, because even though he does bounce around and plays a lot of different positions, it seems like he's had trouble finding one place to play because he's not the best offensive player out there. So he's had to keep bouncing around, and usually has his value to the ball club is with that bat, and right now not swinging it very well.
Well, he's comfortable enough here in the Valley of the Sun, having been the Astros' #8 pick out of Arizona State. And that's hit foul and out of play again. So by the Astros in 2001, Brooks Conrad, who's out of San Diego. Conrad grew up, his dad, a former high school and junior college football player. And Brooks had the advantage of a batting cage in his backyard when he was a kid growing up.
We saw him a few seasons ago playing a lot of third base with the Atlanta Braves when Chipper Jones was going through physical issues. Second base, as you mentioned, that he'll sit behind the plate if you want him to. Good attributes to have, to be able to bounce around and play other positions.
And got him. There's a changeup, the off speed by Chris Capuano, but he was out in front of Braun, 0-2, and then the 1-2 pitch. Ryan Braun showed why he was the National League most valuable player. He hit the home run and sent out of the ballpark in Glendale. The Dodgers coming on trailing 1-0 to the Milwaukee Brewers. Ryan Braun, coming off the defending the National League Most Valuable Player, answered some cat calls when he came to home plate to bat. He answered them with a home run to give the Brewers the 1-0 lead. And now for the Dodgers, here's the way that they'll go from a batting order. Jerry Hairston Jr. to lead it off, followed by Justin Sellers, Matt Kemp in the 3 spot. Andre Ethier back in the cleanup spot against the right-handed pitcher. Juan Rivera, Josh Fields is at third. A.J. Ellis behind the plate. Joe Becker, we've seen a couple of times in a fill-in role. He's at second, and Chris Capuano batting in the 9 spot. Against the right-hander, Francisco Rodriguez.
Well, you know what you're going to get with K-Rod. This is the guy that's so herky-jerky out there. A lot of guys swing at his motion, but he throws the ball hard still. He's just got a wicked over-the-top curveball that he throws awfully hard. It's a ton of strikeouts. It's going to be the setup man here in Milwaukee, which they say he's taken to that role just fine, but Axford being the closer. He's a guy that's been a closer for most of his career with the Angels and then the Mets.
Well, for Rodriguez, he did not get the lucrative closer's contract on the free agent market. That was Milwaukee's gain because he reported to camp very happy, and he really made his presence felt last year after being acquired from the Mets.
Oops.
And speaking of presence being felt, Jerry Hairston just felt that one. Hit by a pitch, but it's remarkable, too, that Rodriguez, after they came over, you talk about as tough as anybody, the Brewers in the 8th or 9th inning, they did not lose a game in which they were leading in the 7th inning or later last season after acquiring Frankie Rodriguez from the New York Mets. You combine him along with Axford, who had a stellar season, converted 46 to 47 save opportunities. The Brewers were really tough out of the pen.
You shorten the game down to 7 innings, and it's
exactly
lights out.
So here's Justin Sellers. Actually, a new look Justin Sellers, because the bunt game has now been entered into it. Swinging fouls it back. Justin Sellers. Steve, here's a guy, he's had a good spring. You see the average at 333. But he's a guy that has had some success hitting the ball a long way at the minor league level. He's not the biggest and strongest physically. Generates a lot of bat speed, but sometimes he gets too involved with trying to hit it a long distance.
Yeah, and you get afraid for guys that are middle infielders, guys that are supposed to catch the ball and get base hits at the major league level. If they get big after they hit a home run, they start trying to hit more home runs, and you just can't do it.
And that will get the runner down to second base. In fact, for Justin Sellers, was working again this morning about 9:15 local time with the great Maury Wills in Maury's pit working on bunting.
This is a good play right here because he's really bunting for a base hit. If he doesn't get it, he still gets the sacrifice, moves the runner over. Bunted that one just a little bit too hard. He put it in a perfect spot, but he was able to bunt it hard enough so that Conrad could come in and make the play. And a nice play by Conrad down there third.
Well, we talked about Ryan Braun struggling a bit in spring training. Matt Kemp's not struggling at first glance. 288 average. Couple of home runs, 11 runs batted in. That's not the part. The part has been making contact. For Kemp, comes on in 52 at bats. He has struck out 21 times.
4 of those in yesterday's ball game.
And Rodriguez, a little wake-up call and a breaking ball that just got away from him.
Matt Kemp had a career high in strikeouts, 170 of them, which is too many. 2 seasons ago. Last year he cut it down to 159.
Well, there's a great number supplied by Tony Jackson, who covers the Dodgers for ESPN LA. And he went down and looked at the numbers of Matt Kemp when he puts the ball into play. And the numbers are remarkable. When Kemp puts the ball into play, he's hitting .484. But that average right now is 1 strikeout for every 2.6 at bats. Now, is Matt Kemp concerned? He will say no. In the back of your mind, how does he feel? That's the other part of it that we don't really know.
Oops.
Shortstop, and as Torres boxes that one, and everybody's safe. Harrison remains at second base. Very quickly, one other change. Travis Ishikawa has been inserted at first base. So there was a couple of changes by by the Brewers, about 30 minutes prior to game time. And we look up, and now Ishikawa is yet another change in the lineup of Ron Renicky.
There's the former Giant. Well, I'll tell you what, we're probably not going to show a replay of that booted ball at short, but you want to really take a good look at that one because you just don't see Asturias boot too many.
Not too many at all. Andre Ethier has squared the bat up on the ball a lot this spring. Not only hitting a ton at 390, but 8 doubles, 3 triples. He's knocked in 12.
And just because it doesn't happen very often, we will show it to you again. Asturias at short, this ball just jumped up and bit him a little bit, lost concentration, and didn't make the play. I'll tell you, Mo, back a number of years ago when he and Cora were the double play team up the middle, used to watch, just loved to come and watch infield practice because those guys were both so smooth.
0-1 pitch with an infield to pull to Ethier. And there's the off-speed pitch, 0-2. Ethier having the knee clean out, if you will. A minor surgical procedure. Of course, the definition of minor surgery is surgery on someone else. But he has shown that it's a very solid base now. Both knees are solid, and he has really been swinging the bat well. The 0-2 laid off of 1 ball and 2 strikes. It's interesting what Don Mattingly has told Ethier and James Loney. Loney's playing in a split squad game. The Dodgers are also over in Mesa, so it's a split squad that they're having today. He told Ethier and he told Loney, against left-handed pitchers, you guys didn't really carry the load as we expect you to. And we have seen Ethier yesterday, for example, was in the 5 spot with a lefty. And he's also delivered, look, if you're not going to hit against left-handers, you may not be included in the starting 9 on the field. And that got everybody's attention.
Yeah, and I think the guys have responded to that. But it could have put even more pressure on them had Jerry Sands had a better spring, because he was the guy that they really looked at as the guy that could fill the spot. He could play in the outfield if they wanted to set Ethier down a little bit. He could play first base if they wanted to give James Loney a day off against a particular left-hander. But then Jerry just came in and just had a poor spring training, and he's already been sent back to the minor leagues. So it could have been an interesting situation had he played well and maybe forced the hand of Don Mattingly occasionally.
Sands hit just 158, was sent out a couple of days ago. 2-2 to Ethier, the opposite way, and base hit. That will score the tying run. Matt Kemp will be held by Tim Wallach. Now he's going to go on his own. He runs through the stop sign and scores standing up. Boy, is it wonderful to have afterburners. And Ethier's 9th double.
Matt Kemp, when he came around third base, he looked at the hold sign, and then he looked back at where the ball was coming in and made his own decision to go. And as you said, Mo, if you have that kind of gear that you can, turn it up to, right about here he sees a soft throw and he says, I'm going to keep going. And they don't even make a throw to the plate because he's so fast. It's a heads-up play. You should listen to your coaches. If they give you the stop sign, you should stop, unless the play is in an area where you can make your own decision because you see the play happening right in front of you.
So the Dodgers take the 2-1 lead on the 2-run double by Andre Ethier. There's Juan Rivera hitting right at the 300 mark. Rivera's also had a good spring, 4 home runs and 10 runs batted in. Of course, Rivera last year, along with Jerry Sands, were used by Don Mattingly in different areas, right-handed pitching, left-handed pitching. And both of them have the versatility. We've seen Rivera at first base, as we see him there today. We've seen him in the outfield. Jerry Sands was able to do the same thing, but Sands, it was one of those classic cases that one job in left field was kind of his to lose, and he did.
Yeah. He's just going through too many changes right now with his swing. I think everybody remembers when he came up to the big leagues last year, he had kind of a 2-part swing. He would stride, hesitate, and then swing the bat. And he was about a hitch slow. So they sent him down to the minor leagues, and they wanted him to work on that. When he came back, there's no question he was better. But then when he came back for this season, he had suddenly spread way out, didn't take a stride, and just looked very uncomfortable. And that made it hard for him to go the other way, and that's what he does best.
That was a strong point last year. So Rivera up there, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
You know, you work your whole life to get a swing that's comfortable for you. He completely overhauled his, and my hat's off to him to be able to try to do that really at the major league level. But then something in the offseason, wherever he was doing his work, things got kind of more out of whack, and he's just trying to figure out how to bring it back in.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2-1 Dodgers. 1 out here in the bottom of the first inning. Happy to have you with us from Camelback Ranch, Glendale, where the temperature 84 degrees. Talk about dry air, 13% humidity here in the Valley of the Sun. 2-2. Got him. In contrast, talking about weather, as Rivera will go back to the dugout, we understand the temperature in Milwaukee is 38 degrees and a wind chill of 31. Oh, it's nice to be in Arizona.
Oh, yeah.
So Rodriguez, again, if you're joining us, say, well, Frankie Rodriguez, K-Rod, and then starting the game, well, Sean Markham, their starter who's had some shoulder problems, is pitching in a different game over in Mesa, we understand. So Rodriguez was scheduled to pitch. They did not want to insert a starting pitching, a regular starter, then have him go maybe a shorter period of time this afternoon. Here's Josh Fields. Takes down low. Fields right at the 300 mark, along where Rivera was before striking out.
Amazingly enough, too, Sean Markham has only thrown 3 innings in big league games down here in spring training, but they say he's one of those guys that he doesn't need that much time to get ready. They expect him to be fully ready to go when the bell rings.
Fields, no home runs, 3 RBIs. And here's another guy that has shown some versatility. And Fields is in that mix on exactly, well, which way will the Dodgers go? And kind of filling out the rest of the roster. We mentioned they currently still have 37 players in camp. So Fields can also play the outfield, although Don Mattingly says he's okay in left field. This one's hit to right field. Long run for Aoki, and he makes the catch on the outfield wall. So 2 runs across, partially because of the afterburners by Matt Kemp, who challenged the arm of Ryan Braun. We go to the second inning. Dodgers lead the Brewers 2-1. Well, they're enjoying the 84-degree temperature, and why not? Here at Camelback Ranch, Glendale. Dodgers with 2 more games here in the Valley of the Sun. Then they'll be in Anaheim to kick off the Freeway Series on Monday night, and then at Dodger Stadium Tuesday night, and then Wednesday afternoon. Season opens next Thursday in San Diego against the Padres, a 4-game weekend series. And then Steve back home for the home opener, and then it really gets for real.
Yes, it does. It'll be a long season again, but it goes by quickly.
Jonathan Lucroy, a big average and a new big contract. A 5-year extension with a club option for the 6th year. Signed that just a couple of days ago, but hitting at .513. And here's a young man that he thinks back, and he's very thankful to be where he is and financially set for life. And he looks back at the minor league level in bus trips and wondered at 3 o'clock in the morning traveling across the country, why am I here? Well, a broken bat and all. You hit .513. A lot of things are going right, evidenced by that hit.
Did he have to hit 500 in order to get that big deal?
If you're hitting a .150, that's a broken bat and it's caught.
Yeah, you got that right. I mean, when sometimes things are going so well for you, it doesn't matter where you hit the ball, it's going to drop.
So Capuano changes speeds, and that time Lucroy was able to stay with it. And here's Travis Ishikawa. Originally, we've been told that Matt Gamble was in the lineup, and again, there was a lot of changes about 20 minutes before the start of this ball game, and Ishikawa was a late replacement at first base. The former Giant left-handed batter.
Both Conrad and Ishikawa are non-roster invitees. Both have an excellent chance to make this team. Ishikawa, as you mentioned, Mo, the guy from San Francisco. A lot of Dodger fans will recognize him from wearing the black and orange. He's just kind of put into an odd situation up there, too. He's a big kid. They wanted him to hit the ball out of the ballpark, and that's just a tough yard to do it in. And could never hit more than 9 home runs in any season up there, and it didn't really work out for him.
Didn't work out. Along the way, he's had some injuries, which most people are going to be having, but he was not really a high draft pick by the Giants to begin with. A 21st round pick out of Federal Way High School in Washington in 2002. But last year, only 56 games participated in because of injuries. Fouls it back, and the count is 1-2. A lot of people also think that Ishikawa, that swing gets a little bit long, and that ball got in on him, and he was just fighting it off.
If you get long, you better be swinging at a changeup.
Yeah. The other thing on Ishikawa, it wasn't the ability that kept him down to the 21st round. A lot of scouts thought, because of his size and the fact he was a good football player, that he would go to college. Upstairs, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Giants convinced him to sign with their organization. But he came in a lot of different spring training, Steve, as you were alluding to, is that he was ranked very high in their skills list and young, promising prospect. Held up on that one. Home plate umpire is Mike Lusky. There were 4 umpires that were announced, but only 3 have arrived. Bill Miller, Chris Guccione. Brian Knight was also scheduled to work this ball game.
Maybe he went to the split squad game over in Mesa.
Payoff pitch. Runner not going, and it's inside. And Capuano angry at himself. So it was a broken bat single followed by a walk with 2 on, nobody out.
Capuano made the nice pitch to Lucroy, and it got banged out there in the center field. You get upset with yourself when you make a good pitch and the guy still finds a way to get a base hit, and then you compound the problem by walking the next guy. Capuano does not have the overpowering stuff that he can get away with walking guys. He knows he's got to put the ball in play and get ground balls.
Here's Cesar Torres, the former Dodger, the switch hitter. Gets the start at shortstop today. Ground ball should be 2. Sellers, the Becker to Rivera. Done nicely. And for Capuano, that's using the defense and threw that dead fish to home plate.
No sooner than you say that he needs a ground ball double play, he throws one right up there.
You know what is amazing is that you begin to look at how rosters are built, how decisions are made, and Cesar Torres was told, I believe it was yesterday, that he had made the ball club. And yet, he began today with a 184 average, and that just went down.
Ann's already made an error.
Here's Norichka Aoki hitting at .333. Somewhat diminutive in build, big heart, and a good player. He's been nursing a right hamstring, but a 6-time Gold Glove winner in center field over in Japan. He can play.
Yeah, we watched him run that ball down that Josh Fields hit. Out over his head, turned and ran, picked it up again, made a nice play out there. Been on fire lately with the bat, too. Got off to a real slow start. He's had 12 hits in his last 19 at-bats, though. That's a pretty good week. Started off the spring 5 for 32.
He played for the Colt Swallows, and he gets plunked. So both sides have been hit by a pitch. Harrison Jr. was hit by a pitch leading off the game, bottom of the first inning. So runners at first and third. And Francisco Rodriguez, who started the game, is not going to bat here. And that comes as no surprise at all. So it's Parker Berberet is coming on to pinch hit. One of the nice things about the latter stages of spring training, you're normally not seeing a whole lot of guys with 80s and 90s numbers with no names on the back and no listing in a media guide.
But today in the second inning.
It happened rather quickly because Frankie Rodriguez decided to go one inning, as was expected, and leave the ballpark. But number 92, we were talking yesterday that there was a coverage of a game last week that they could not find the player listed anyway, and they just put on the font, the graphic, the minor league guy with his number.
It's classic.
But this is Travis Berberet. And you're still searching.
I hope he hits the ball quickly because I can't find him anywhere.
Next. And obviously, it was Chris Capuano that heard Steve Lyons begging for mercy. No runs, a hit, 2 left. We go to the bottom of the second, 2-1, Los Angeles. For the Dodgers, the countdown is 6 days till opening day. They have 2 more games here at Camelback Ranch, Glendale. Then Sunday after the final game against the Arizona Diamondbacks here, they will move to Los Angeles. The Dodgers again have 37 players still in camp, and they will take at least 10 west with them. Rick Mundig along with Steve Lyons as we get set to go, and big right-hander out of Chatsworth.
Yeah, Cameron Lowe looks like he should be a basketball player. 6'8", 250. Had a nice year for this team last year. A ton of appearances. He pitched in 72 games. He got a save. Pretty much a one-inning specialist guy, but did get one save last year. He ended up with a 4-7 record. Lives right here in the Scottsdale area in the offseason now.
He came up in the Texas Rangers organization. Nolan Ryan is now the president of the Texas Rangers, and Cameron Lowe was a Nolan Ryan fan. In fact, he has the number 34 on a tattoo, a blazing fastball tattooed on his right shoulder blade in honor of Nolan Ryan. A lot of guys had fastball indentations in the right shoulder blade provided by Nolan Ryan.
Yes.
Here's A.J. Ellis. It was kind of a mystery as to when Nolan Ryan was pitching there in certain parts of his Hall of Fame career. There was actually a disease named after him. It was that 12-hour affliction that's called Ryanitis.
And whoever got it sat out and made me play against him.
That was fun.
Well,
A.J. Ellis has had a good spring, 297 average. Cameron Lowe delivers that fastball and is fouled off and down the line.
One of the things about Nolan Ryan that people don't talk a lot about was how smart he was as a pitcher too. I mean, it took a long time for him to corral his stuff. He used to be a wild and crazy out there on the mound and would strike out guys and walk a ton of guys. The first time I ever faced him, I hit the ball really well against him. I went 1 for 5, but hit bullets all over the yard, all fastballs. After that, I never saw another fastball that wasn't under my chin. And then he'd throw me breaking balls and get me out all day long.
1-2. Boy, a big at bat by A.J. Ellis with 2 strikes, inside out swing. And Ellis has made very good contact. He has been working a lot with Steve Yeager. The fundamentals behind the plate, he's improved in that area. But that is a big base hit behind in the count.
Well, it's just nice to be able to go the other way like that. Stay inside the ball and shoot it the other way hard and get yourself on base.
So Cameron Lowe gives up a base hit to the first batter that he faces. Here's Joe Becker. We have seen Joe Becker in a backup role. Primarily at second base. We saw him late in the game yesterday at second base. We've seen him in a couple of different positions in the infield. First ball swinging, and Conrad, he had a little time to get in front of it, but he decided not to.
Yeah, you've got to make a decision right there. Either you charge that ball and smother it, or what I think I would have tried to do sitting up here, because it's so much easier, I would have taken a sidestep and dropped back on that ball and tried to make this second hop a little easier hop to handle. Make a good, easy throw into second base, at least get one, and still have a chance to turn that double play. But that ball just ate him up because he didn't make a decision.
Here's Capuano in a bunt situation, and the Brewers are anticipating. Ishikawa, the first baseman, comes way in. And Conrad in front of the bag at third. And now there'll be a conference on the mound with Lucroy and Lowe.
Guys got to make sure they know what bunt defense they're looking at right now. They know that Capuano's probably going to drop one down. Are they going to do a wheel play, or the middle infielder is going to stay at home and have the corner infielders crash? And what base are you going to try to get an out at?
Showing bunt, erasing it, showing it again, and bunts it foul. It does not give you the greatest sense of security batting against Cameron Lowe if you understand what he likes, such as a 7-foot, 20-pound boa constrictor that he puts in a pillowcase when he travels at times. As a kid growing up in Chatsworth, he would chase lizards and snakes and bugs.
Now he keeps them as pets. Looks like they're trying to get the out at third. They had the wheel play on last time.
And a shortstop releasing his Turris, and had that ball been bunted to third, would have been plenty of time for Conrad.
To me, this is no question the scariest situation to bunt in. You know the pitcher's going to deliver the ball and come crashing straight in. You have the third baseman coming in. You have the first baseman coming in. you feel like there's nowhere you can drop the bunt down.
And now does he swing?
Just everybody down your throat when you're trying to make that bunt attempt.
And it's really a terrific play. And now Tim Wallach's going to talk with Capuano about exactly what they want to do. You do not want to bunt into a double play. Ron Renicky takes a page out of the book that he had learned when he was with the Dodgers organization, reinforced again when he went with another former Dodger, that being Mike Scioscia, the manager of the Angels. And Rags, his teammates have referred to him very respectfully. A terrific job last year. Indeed, Capuano was swinging.
That was a good conversation for Wallach to have, even if he didn't tell him anything, to at least put the thought in Milwaukee's mind that he may not be bunting up there. In many cases, though, for the Brewers, it's fine if the pitcher doesn't, because they're not known as great contact guys anyway. Sometimes just do your job, get the bunt down, and move along.
Showing bunt, but takes outside. Now the count runs full 3-2.
He's got a great eye up there.
By the way, for Cameron Lowe, Angel is the name of his boa constrictor.
Just keep me away. I'm not at all interested in meeting Angel.
You and I can have a foot race to see who leaves the room first.
Not that Angel.
You better get a good jump, pal.
Don't blow a hammy.
It's worth the trade-off. Wow. There's more meetings right here than you can imagine. Which play will the Brewers put on? What was the consensus between Capuano and Wallach with 2 strikes? Do you still attempt the bunt?
I gotta think he still had the bunt on here. You send him up there to bunt. These guys are playing the bunt. And now he's out.
And strike 3.
Too bad there, because, you know, I thought he really had a good at-bat there. He didn't try to bunt balls that were out of the strike zone. Unfortunately, once you get to the 2 strikes, you got to be able to put that thing down. A foul ball's an automatic strikeout. And that was a kind of a tougher pitch to bunt right there, and he couldn't get it down.
Well, I saw Capuano along with Billingsley and Kershaw in Maury's pit yesterday bunting, and I would imagine we will see Mr. Capuano there tomorrow morning, if not later this afternoon. So 1 down, runners still at first and second. 2-1 Dodgers, bottom of the second inning. Here's the leadoff man, Jerry Hairston Jr. Hit by a pitch, scored in the first inning.
Easily the best bunter on the team as far as the pitching staff is concerned is Clayton Kershaw.
Strike to Hairston. Jerry has had a very good spring. Mentioned earlier, .353 average. But versatility is one of the things that Don Mattingly and the coaching staff has talked about. Chatted with Trey Hillman, the Dodgers bench coach, early this morning. And he said, we have a lot of guys that can play different position. It gives us on the coaching staff and from the manager more choices.
Well, they just really like the way Jerry goes about his business as a ball player. You know, he doesn't go up into the batting cage and try to jump the yard every time he takes a swing. You watch him hit line drives to left field, or line drives to right field. That's his game, and he practices it during batting practice. They just like the way he shows up and plays.
Would you like to break that down? Jump the yard?
He's not up there trying to hit home runs every time he swings. I should never use that term because I couldn't do that either.
Popped up. Ishikawa. And he's feeling for it, and it makes a catch. There's a high sky here today again. So after back-to-back singles, a strikeout, a pop-out, 2 down for Justin Sellers.
Well, it's just great to get to sit down and do a game with you again. We seem to weasel our way into 1 or 2 every spring and then go away.
And you are jetting out of here to go back to Los Angeles right after the completion of this one, or is there a time limit?
You know, there might be a time limit on this one. I got to be able to get that flight, that's for sure.
Sellers.
This one's moving right along, though, isn't it?
Yes. You won't have a whole lot of time to explain how you came up with that jump the yard. Sellers sacrificed his first time up this afternoon. What we've seen Justin do is also not only showing the bunt, which draws the infield in a little bit, not in this spot with 2 outs, of course, but we have seen him make adjustments now with better bat control when he's behind in the count, or someone that can really get it up there in a hurry with good live fastball. See him choke up a little bit for the first time in a couple of years.
Timeout called on the field now. And, you know, we talked about the way the roster is going to shake down, and it really looks like that last guy on the bench is going to come down to either Sellers, Fields, or Luis Cruz. And Sellers doesn't have as much pop as Josh Fields does, but Sellers a better defender. And so there's a lot of different things that Don Mattingly still has to look at to decide who that last guy on the bench is going to make this club.
Yeah, we saw Cruz replace Fields in left field yesterday in the 6th inning and played the rest of the game out there. Cruz better suited for the outfield, more maneuverability. But it's an interesting choice and not an easy one for this Dodger ball club, or any manager and organization for that matter, coming down to the final 2 or 3 decisions on your team. The 0-2. A good swing on it, hits it foul.
And that's where Sellers probably gets a little bit in between with the type of player that he wants to be. I think you and I would like to see him cut down, drive the ball into the gaps. I think when he hits an occasional home run, that's nice. But a lot of guys, and I was the same way, when I hit a home run, I'd spend my next 30 at-bats trying to hit another one and just mess myself up. And I think Justin gets into that habit a little bit. But he also understands that, well, I'm not the guy that they look at that has a lot of juice off the bench. Not going to hit the ball out of the park, so maybe I should try to hit more home runs.
Well, he's also changing a little bit because we see now he's 0-2, and the first time we recall in a few weeks in spring training, he's down on the end of the bat, not choking up. And he hit it well. That's one of those classic cases. You do everything right as a hitter, and you have nothing to show for it. A good swing, a good pass, but no results. 2 hits, 2 left, 2-1 Dodgers through the first 2. Two to 1 Dodgers as we go to the top half of the 3rd inning. And for the Brewers, it will be the top of their order. Ricky Weeks, Carlos Gomez, and then Ryan Braun to bat against Chris Capuano. Well, we're just informed the Brewers has been good news. We mentioned to Sean Markham, who has been having some shoulder issues in spring training. Well, he was pitching across town, and the results were good. As far as the Brewers are concerned, he went 5 innings and made 56 pitches, so he's on track to remain in that starting rotation as the season gets underway for Milwaukee. So good news in the first base visiting dugout. Wake struck out swinging his first time up. Again, that's been the story with Ricky Weeks. 50% of his at-bats in this spring, he has gone down swinging. And that was a big, violent swing with no contact there.
Well, if you're going to be a leadoff hitter, you can't strike out that much, especially as we talked about a couple years ago, you had 29 home runs. That's a pretty big season, especially at the top of the lineup. But last year, 20. And if you're going to start to dwindle with your power, you better start putting your bat on the ball a little bit more often.
Ricky Weeks in the leadoff spot. Brewers again 11 wins, 14 losses in 2 games where they said by mutual consent we've had enough. Ran out of pitchers. 2-2 the count. Weeks out of Florida. Three balls and 2 strikes. What Weeks can do is speed, and I caught the scout's attention in college. His career, he was 65 stolen bases in 66 attempts. But you have to get on.
That's a whole lot of running.
And he gets called strike 3 there. So Capuano came back, lost him 0-2, went 3-2, and then strikes him out. The 4th punch out by the Dodger lefty.
Well, we're kind of seeing exactly what Chris Capuano can do. We've seen him work both sides of the plates. We've seen him change speeds. We know that's the kind of guy he's going to have to be. An awful lot like Ted Lilly without the big looping curveball, but the same type of finesse guy.
Popped up. For those who are joining us, we talked about Ted Lilly a little bit earlier. We've still not had any official word on his bullpen session today. We did see him down the left field line. He's already thrown. Saw him down the left field line actually as the Dodgers were taking batting practice, talking to the training staff. So for Rick Honeycutt, the pitching coach on your left, and Don Mattingly on your right, they have probably been informed as to how Lilly held up. Of course, Steve, with any type of an injury coming back, they won't really know maybe fully until tomorrow how he feels. Hit well to left field, and Hairston runs it down. Well, Harrison was going to be on his own. Matt Kemp thought Harrison was going to have an easy play, did not move in center. And Harrison gives a high five. Yeah, thanks, pal.
Yeah, that would have been all the way to that State Farm sign out there if he didn't get to it. Good thing he did. Yeah, when you're talking about Lilly, I mean, I think there's an excellent chance he ends up on the DL, and the way it'll shake out with the way the Dodgers have an off day on Monday after the first 4 games, Ted Lilly might miss just 1 start and then be healthy enough to come back and make what would have been his 2nd start of the year, and the Dodgers will be fine with the 4 starters they have, and that'll open up an extra spot in the bullpen.
Ryan Braun, who homered his first attempt on a 1-2 pitch, he took what can only be described as a real big cut on that one. In fact, his momentum, it took him all the way across the plate beyond where a left-handed batter would be. Slams this one, and Hairston's been busy indeed. Throw it and duck. So Hairston retires the last 2 batters himself with a leather. No runs, no hits, no errors, nobody left through 2.5. Still 2-1 Los Angeles. The Dodgers will honor the great Jackie Robinson on Sunday, April 15th when they take on the San Diego Padres. That's a 1:10 game. And to celebrate his legacy, kids 14 and under in attendance will receive a Jackie Robinson sweatband presented by Melissa's Produce. If you can find out more about tickets, just visit online Dodgers.com/promotions. 84 degrees at game time. And for the Dodgers, leading it 2-1. All the scoring has been in the first inning. Home run by Ryan Braun in the top half of the first, and a 2-run double by Andre Ethier. And it's going to be Matt Kemp to start it off here against the third Brewers pitcher. Left-hander, non-roster player, invited to the big league camp, Juan Perez, who's been around. He's been with the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Philadelphia Phillies briefly last year. 33 years of age.
Throws a lot of stuff at you before he throws the baseball. It's his fourth appearance so far and hasn't given up anything.
Matt Kemp hits it in front of Ryan Braun. You know, going back to that first inning, when Kemp went through the stop sign, thrown up by third base coach Tim Waller, Matt Kemp did look back at Ryan Braun. He just wonders at how much of a cat and mouse situation it was, because there are a lot of runners that will try and take advantage of Ryan Braun's arm, and Matt Kemp did, and he was successful.
Those guys are actually pretty good friends, and Matt was one of the first guys that really stood up for Braun after he was cleared of the allegations there, and he said it's great for him, great for the game of baseball. But I think he also looks at him and says, you know, if I have any chance to run on you, I'm going.
Well, Braun made the first statement with a home run in the first, and Kemp made another statement with going through the stop sign and running on Braun in the bottom half of the same inning.
It was one of those plays, too, where I don't think Braun thought he was going to go, so he didn't have a lot of mustard on that throw into third base.
So Ethier continues to have just an outstanding spring. Outside 1-1. The old adage is, I don't know if you were superstitious or not, a lot of people say, look, don't leave it in spring training.
I was happy to get him anytime I could. I know that. I never really had a good spring training. The best spring training I ever had, I got sent down.
That'll teach you. And for Andre Ethier, he continues to have just a torrid spring training. A 2-run double in the first and a 2-run home run here in the third. For Ethier, his third home run of the spring, and it's 4-1 Dodgers.
Big key to this one, too, Mo, is the fact that I don't care if he's a minor leaguer or not. The guy throws with his left hand out there. Good sign for Andre Ethier. We brought up the situation before where Ethier hit 220 against lefties last year. That's a fastball down and in. Andre doesn't miss many of those. There's been some concern, some concern as to whether or not Don Mattingly would play either Ethier or Loney against some tough lefties this year if they weren't hitting them. I think Andre's stepping up and saying, you know what, I'm going to hit him.
So Ethier with the RBIs today, 4 of them. He has 16 for the spring, 3 home runs, and then on top of it, hitting close to 400. Check swing, but a strike to Rivera.
I think the ideal situation is fine. If you want to flip-flop those guys, if you want to hit Ethier fourth against a right-hander, hit Rivera fourth against the left-hander and flip-flop them if you want, that's great. But the ideal situation for the Dodgers is to make sure that every day Rivera, Ethier, Loney are always in the lineup. That way you know that they are swinging the bat well against everybody and things are moving along.
Perez is one of those classic players as Rivera's getting ready now behind in the count 1-2. But with Perez, it looks like he's falling down off the mound. So we want to pick up that release point. If you watch the delivery, you're going to have no chance. You have moving parts.
Don't swing at the delivery. And really, you know, if you pay attention and just kind of calm things down and wait for the ball to be delivered, you're really going to get a good look at it. Because as you said, he falls so far off to the third base side, he's opening everything up, and then he's just going to show you the ball. Kind of got to wait for all the knees and elbows and gloves to clear out, and then wait for the ball to come there.
Well, Perez was actually with the Dodgers organization in 2009. Well, he's been with the Red Sox originally, the Mets organization, the Dodgers, back to the Mets. Went to the Phillies and now signed as a free agent last December with the Milwaukee Brewers. So he's going to be in a support role and on call from AAA. The 2-2 down low, 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Good hitting time right here for Rivera. This is where he starts to think a little more dead red.
And Rivera's one of those guys, he's big and strong, tremendously strong, and getting his legs into the swing. That's the Cesar Izturis that we have come to know. He boxed a ball hit to him in the first inning, but handles that one easily. As Rivera grounds out, 6-3. That's the first out of the inning, and Josh Fields will come on and face the third pitcher of the day for the Brewers, Juan Perez. For Fields, he has used the field, a couple of doubles, has 1 triple. So he's 0 for 1. He was turned away on a good running play on the warning track in right field by Aoki, who covered a lot of ground to get back to the ball. Foul past Tim Wallach.
Talked to the White Sox guys yesterday, and Josh Fields, of course, played in the White Sox organization for a number of years. They say when he hits home runs, there are usually no doubt about him, but he hits moonshots. They go way up in the air. We've seen Matt Kemp hit some balls like that just seem to keep climbing and climbing and climbing. You think they never come down, and when they do, they're out of the ballpark.
And I think we would agree, as many people we've talked with, as far as Josh Fields, it has been the breaking ball at times. It has really been the challenge.
And why is that a problem for so many people? I didn't used to like anything that had a wrinkle in it either.
No. Where it was best was at batting practice about 5:10 in the afternoon for a 7 o'clock game.
That was a great 5 o'clock hitter.
55 miles an hour, normally right down the middle.
Swing as hard as you want.
And no defense.
Yeah.
2 balls and 2 strikes. The old story about the youngster that signed and reported and kept sending letters home. Dear Mom, having a wonderful time. This is great. And she didn't hear from her for a while. And then all of a sudden there's a postcard. Dear Mom, you're beginning to throw the breaking ball. I'll be home soon.
Yeah.
And as the breaking ball to Fields, and he went fishing and didn't come up with it. First strikeout by Perez after giving up a single and a home run and a ground ball out, a strikeout, 2 outs for A.J. Ellis.
Yeah, that's just a lack of recognition right there. He was swinging at that pitch like he thought it was going to be a fastball. It clearly wasn't. Down in the dirt, and you can't hold up by that time.
So Ellis, a good piece of hitting in the second inning to lead it off. A 1-2 pitch low and away, went to right field for a solid single, and Ellis right near that 300 mark for the spring. What a difference a year makes, because A.J. Ellis, when he came to spring training last year, knowing that Rod Barajas had been signed by the Dodgers, so Ellis was on the outside looking in. He comes to spring training this year, and they said basically, the catching job is yours. They know he handles the pitchers well. They know that he is very studious in the way that he does his job, works hard. He's been known to make contact, and he has gone right after it.
Yeah, working hard is certainly his strong suit. He always is in the cage, working on things, trying to get better. And he's very, very well liked as a teammate, too. And that, that goes a long way.
1 ball and 2 strikes.
The Dodgers as a group are a pretty good bunch of guys. Can't always say that about a lot of teams. Couldn't always say it about the Dodger teams lately. You hang around with 25 guys for 8 months out of the year, certainly there's going to be little clicks. You know, you and I are going to go for dinner. You know, I'm happy to go with anybody, but basically you find 3 or 4 friends that you like with, and you hang around those guys mostly.
By the way, no, we're not.
But these guys, you know, there's like nobody's on the outside looking in. Everyone gets along.
Right. And people lose sight of that fact. I mean, you realize that, yes, it's a very nice occupation to play this wonderful game of baseball and get paid. But if you think of your own workplace, how many workers in your office, for example, are you socializing with on a daily basis after hours? And these clubs are in town, out of town, in hotels, on buses. Their performance is evaluated by everybody. And Ellis, who is behind in the count, 1-2, draws the walk. And there again, pitch recognition, patience, and laying off of pitches out of the strike zone.
And I think one of the things for AJ, too, he said it earlier in the spring, and I thought it was a kind of a nice little comment. He said, look, I know who I am. I keep trying to get better. But they know what I can do and what I can't do, and they're happy with that, and that makes him a lot more comfortable.
Well, Ron Renicky has seen enough. The manager and the former Dodger, now the manager of the Milwaukee Brewers, going to the mound. He is already motioned to the bullpen. So for Juan Perez, he winds up going just 2/3 and gives up the big home run to Andre Ethier after the leadoff single to Matt Kemp. So we have a pitching change here at Camelback Ranch. Perez will depart. A fresh arm will come in, and we'll back and tell you about after this.
Christians.
Right-hander Tim Dillard, who was told just a couple of days ago that he indeed will be with the big league ball club when they break camp. Submarine right-hander inherits Ellis, the runner at first, with 2 down. And here's Joe Becker, his second at bat. He singled the first pitch that he saw thrown to him in the second inning.
Well, Dillard, one of those big sidewinder type pitchers, was up and down with the Brewers 3 different times last year, so I bet he's feeling very good about making the club out of spring training this season. His dad played in the big leagues for a number of years. The Red Sox, the Tigers, Cubs. Steve Dillard, utility infielder. That's probably why Tim is from Sarasota, Florida. All those years where the White Sox used to have spring training down there. That's probably where they may have set up shop down there.
1-1 pitch. And a breaking ball from down there is a different angle. And you'll hear hitters at times talk about an uncomfortable at bat.
Yeah, against a guy like this, you'd rather be a left-handed hitter.
Once that breaking ball starts, it continues to go away. And for Jonathan Lucroy, you know you have to be agile going to your right and backhand that ball.
If you see a right-handed hitter take a swing at a bad pitch from a guy like Dillard, usually his rear end will be headed towards his own dugout.
Well, Lucroy put down 4 fingers for that one. Like a tailing fastball or a sinker. And 2-2. Do you come back with a breaking ball?
Absolutely. Run it off the plate, see if you can get him to chase it. Looks like he didn't want to throw it. He went back to the number 4. We thought that was a sinker. There it is.
Oh, yeah.
Easy game from up here when you know what's coming. But a leadoff single by Matt Kemp and Andre Ethier, his 3rd home run of the season, and there was not a doubt about it. And he has 4 RBIs. In fact, it's Ethier leading the Milwaukee Brewers 4-1. Folks, I'd like to encourage you to bring your group out to Dodger Stadium this season and receive great savings, experience special benefits, and share the Dodger memories together. Group tickets start as low as $8 a piece. If you'd like more information and to see the list of theme games, just go online or pick up the phone. Online, it's Dodgers.com/groups or via the telephone 323-224-1421. 4-1 Dodgers here. On the big bat of Andre Ethier. Matt Kemp has been in it as well. Kemp has scored twice. Ethier's knocked in 4 with a double and then a home run. And Chris Capuano, who had a 1-2-3 third inning, will work to Brooks Conrad, Jonathan Lucroy, and then Travis Ishikawa in the Brewers' half of the 4th. One area that Ron Renicky, along with Mike Scioscia, have done, and Renicky was the bench coach for his former teammate, Scioscia. Both are type guys, Steve, that believe in forcing the outfield to make mistakes, throw to the wrong bag, see if you can take advantage of them by going from first to third. Renicky's also had the running game going, having stolen 25 bases as a team so far.
I love that style of baseball. Now, this is a hard game to play. When you force the opposition to try to make a play, more times than not, they can't. It's too hard to make a perfect throw every time. And if you're got any speed at all and you're playing heads-up ball and you're making good turns and being aggressive on the bases, you can pick up more and more as you go.
Rags. Ron Renicky.
Now, they love him.
Well, you know, he was not a frontline player. He's out of Covina, and then the Dodgers signed him as a #1 pick out of UCLA. He is mild-mannered. Managers liked him because he could do so many different things. His brother Gary played for several years in the majors, and now his brother Gary is also just a terrific scout. Right center field, Matkin. And there's one down. But out of a baseball family, Ron Renicky, but he understood very well how to play the game, how to prepare for the game. And remember, too, is that Ron Renicky at one time thought about becoming a pitcher. And he came up with the knuckleball. He worked with Tom Candiotti, and it was, Renicky, is he going to be the pitcher? Throw the knuckleball.
Well, I think his experience as a utility type player has really served him well as a manager too, because I think he has done a great job, at least in his first season over there. When you talk to anyone over there, they just absolutely love what he does. A lot of those guys saying the best manager they ever played for. I think knowing all the different personalities of guys that he played with and how he had to meld his personality into the teams that he was playing on has helped him really treat everybody over there individually.
Jonathan Lucroy takes a strike, 0-2, and it was Fred Clare at the time was the general manager that talked to Ron Renicky. Rags actually came over to Arizona in the Structural League and pitched, I think, 7 innings. And then the experiment was kind of done.
Everyone always used to ask me, well, why didn't you pitch? And I said, well, because I was really good at hitting the bats.
Check swing, 1 ball and 2 strikes. I am reminded of a certain catcher that went to the mound to talk to Bob Gibson. Bob Gibson told him, get off my mound. The only thing you know about pitching is you can't hit it.
That's a great line. I think you turn around and head back quickly.
Oh.
Especially when it's Gibby saying it.
You head back just like Jonathan Lucroy will go, in a nice breaking ball by Capuano. That's his 5th strikeout.
I'll tell you what, Capuano's working on a very nice outing here once again for the Dodgers. Last outing he gave up just 1 run in 5 innings, and he's cruising right along.
Has a double play ball as well. He has hit 1 batter. The run that he's given up, the home run to Ryan Braun in the first inning on a 1-2 pitch. Here's Ishikawa, who walked his first time. This is a nervous time of spring for a couple of players with just about every major league club or organization. Will I be with a big league club? Will I be in AAA? Will I have a job? Dodgers made some more moves off their roster just yesterday after the game. And down to 37.
Well, it's not much of a secret with the Dodgers who those guys are right now. We've talked about them in today's ball game. Guys like Justin Sellers, Josh Fields, Luis Cruz, all in the mix to be that last guy, right-handed hitter off the bench. They decide to put Ted Lilly on the DL. You're looking at a bullpen spot opening up there to start the season. And so guys like Scott Rice and Josh Lindblom have kind of been on the bubble. They'd have a chance to make the club.
And Sellers getting the start today at shortstop. And for manager Don Mattingly, you saw looking on, it's equate players. Pop up, Rivera will have an easy play, although with this guy in the bright sunshine, not too many are easy. But that's 2 up and 2 down as far as nobody on base for Capuano. 4-1 Dodgers. The lemonade vendor is everybody's best friend here this afternoon. It was 84 degrees at game time with 13% humidity, and in Milwaukee it was 38 degrees when it got underway. Chris Capuano struck out his first time, and in the second at bat flies out to straightaway center field. One down.
I love that lemonade guy here too.
I like him even more if you come closer.
Bring some up here. I'm sure that some people at home can occasionally hear his voice. You know you love it.
And he's right today. The Lemonade Man. Terry Hairston probably had some lemonade in the dugout. He's raring to go. Hit by pitch and scored, and then fouled out to first.
Terry's had a nice day today, both out there in left field. He's had a couple of tough chances and made both of them. Nice diving play there, going to his right.
Easy game. Dillard, that side wielding breaking ball.
Did you ever notice that when you were playing that if you dove for a ball and caught it, it was no big deal, but if you missed it, everything hurt?
Well, Hairston didn't miss that one. Running it down, Ryan Braun, and Hairston will turn and get it back in. That was a good play by Braun to get to it and then wheel and throw back in.
Good strong throw back in, kind of off the back leg a little bit, but got there in time to save a double. Well, pitchers love that. You get out there, keep the double play in order.
And Braun is probably underrated. Everybody talks about the offense, but underrated in what he could do. Good swing by Hairston.
I mean, he's a decent athlete. I mean, he started as a third baseman. He did a nice job with a reverse pivot right there and getting the ball back into Ricky Weeks. What I find is amazing is that he never moves his position at all in left field. He stands in the exact same piece of grass the entire year. They had to come out last year and replace that little piece of grass because it wore it out.
He bought a plot out there, and he patrols
darn
it
sure
well.
going to use it.
Sellers 0 for 1, lay down a sacrifice bunt, then lined out to left field. What a good swing on a 1-2 pitch. Lined out, had nothing to show for it.
Justin with his family out here for most of spring training. His dad is out here, former big league pitcher Jeff Sellers. Played with him when we both played in the Boston organization.
Harrison's going, and Lucroy really had no chance at all. Well, Lucroy has a lot of degree of difficulty as he has to wait for that big breaking ball to get to him.
Then he just made a bad transfer going from glove to hand. He couldn't handle it. Once you bobble a little bit as a catcher, you might as well stick it in your back pocket because you're not getting anybody.
So Hairston with a stolen base, his first attempt in it successful in the spring. Sellers trying to pick him up. Will not do it with that swing. That breaking ball outside. And that's the second out.
You saw right there where Lucroy could not get the handle on the ball. And when you're double pumping.
Well, if you don't grip it correctly the first time, don't throw it away because it's liable to helicopter anywhere to the outfield. 2 down, first base is open. Here's Matt Kemp with Ethier on deck. Ethier, by the way, has knocked in all 4 Dodger runs.
It has been the Andre show today.
Well, Kemp has reached on an air, singled on a line drive to left. He has scored 2 of the 4. This is a time also in spring training. We talked earlier about for coaches and managers and general managers, players too. You don't want to use the word injury. It's in the back of your mind. This is also kind of the boring part of spring training. You are ready for the season to open.
I really believe the only reason spring training is as long as it is for the pitchers. They're the guys that are still trying to build the arm strength, get another start in, try to stretch it out, throw more innings, more pitches. The everyday guys have been ready. It's almost always 10 days too long for them.
(3-0). Does he get the green light? I'll be shocked if he doesn't. And it was not to his liking, however. So a walk issued by Diller. Now his first and second for the RBI man of the afternoon. A 2-run double in the first, 2-run home run in the third. Ethier in spring was not having a lot of to do with some of the questions that were being asked. Well, did Mattingly say you threw away some at bats last year on wild swings? And then if you look, there's a marked difference, not just because of the numbers of Ethier in the spring, but there's a big difference in his approach, and you can see that he is healthy, he is determined. It's difficult to hit with one leg that's hurting.
Yeah, I don't think that the general public gives enough credit to guys that are hurt. It's just tough to do anything. You can't, no matter what job you do, you can't do it if you're not completely healthy. And Andre was pretty much trying to hit on one leg, couldn't do it. Definitely showed in the numbers.
No balls, 2 strikes, 4-1 Dodgers, bottom of the 4th inning. First base, Ishikawa, the easy play, and that'll do it. A single, a stolen base, a walk, 2 left. We've gone 4 innings. Beautiful day for baseball. 4-1 Dodgers. Thanks for joining us. We hope the weather wherever you are is as good as it is here in Glendale, Arizona. 4-1 Dodgers. So a glorious day to work. The Dodgers, a split squad. Most of them are here for this game, and they've also gone elsewhere across the Valley of the Sun. Chris Capuano's had a good ball game. He's allowed just 2 hits, a 2-out home run by Ryan Braun in the first inning, a leadoff single by Jonathan Lucroy in the second. He's walked 1 and hit 1 and has 5 strikeouts. A good afternoon for the left-hander indeed. Cesar's Torres starts it off.
That home run by Braun was a no-doubter, wasn't it?
it stopped some people from booing as they had done when he went to home plate.
He almost hit that one up into the offices there in left field. I just, it would just be so much fun to have that feeling where you hit a ball so hard, you know it's a home run as soon as it leaves your bat, where you can just put your bat down and start running. You don't even really watch it. Maybe take a glance back up there, but it's not like you don't know it's gone. You just start running the bases because you don't even have to watch it go out of the ballpark.
That is the Dodger facility out there. This facility at Camelback Ranch shared between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Chicago White Sox. Sox building is down the right field line. The Dodgers were the direction that Ryan Braun hit it, down the left field line. And his Turris is the 6th strikeout victim by Capuano, who makes it look easy when he just adds and subtracts velocity.
Yeah, really nice movement there late down in the dirt. Not a pitch that if you'd want to swing at if you could take another look at that. And boy, once you commit and then the ball disappears on you, you look bad doing it.
It's like I see it. Where did it go? Aoki hits it foul. Aoki was hit by a pitch. He can scamper. We mentioned before he's been nursing a right hamstring problem. But 6-time Gold Glove winner in Japan, hitting at .333 as he started today with 3 triples.
He's an interesting guy. You got to think that they really signed him initially because of the Braun situation. Initially, it was said that Braun would have a 50-game suspension. Now this guy's going to end up being a 4th outfielder for him. We talked about before he got off to a really slow start, but has really come on lately. 12 hits in his last 20 at-bats.
Okay, listed at 5'9". He's in that crouch, and he's actually on the sprint as he's hitting the ball, which is remarkable. You can have the hand-eye coordination with that much body movement as he's really taking off at home plate during the swing.
A little bit of an Ichiro swing right there, running already, dropping the bat head down through the hitting zone. Not going to hit with a lot of power like that, but Ichiro sure hasn't had too much trouble hitting in the big leagues.
Niger Morgan will come on as a pinch hitter. And for Niger, it's that one foul, and quickly is 0-2. Morgan coming on as far as the spring, hitting at .231 average wise, 1 home run, and that accounted for the only RBI he's had so far.
It was a huge part of the success that this team had last year. Brought a lot of energy. You never were sure who was going to hit. Was it Morgan or T. Plush?
Well, it's not Niger Morgan here. 7 strikeouts, but Chris Capuano has given up just 2 hits. The Dodgers lead at 4-1. The youngsters enjoying the grass in the outfield area. Enjoying the weather, and why not? A Friday afternoon leading into the weekend, and you're at the ballpark. 4-1 Dodgers. For the Brewers, we know one thing already. They brought a lot of pitchers. And we are about to see our 5th pitcher. Not to interrupt the games out in the outfield area. But before we get the pitch, I want to remind you could join the Dodgers for what is sure to be a very eventful 2012 season with the largest promotional schedule ever and the lowest ticket prices in years. Now, to guarantee your tickets on opening day and the Koufax and Vin Scully bobblehead nights, purchase a season ticket or select many plans. Do it soon. For more information, go online, Dodgers.com/tickets, and don't get left out. Sites of spring training, and some of the players actually getting in their sprints on the warning track in the outfield. Marco Estrada, the right-hander, will be in the bullpen as the workouts continue and the conditioning continues. Estrada came in with 2 different possibilities in today's games. Worked to Juan Rivera, misses outside. We have been told that Estrada, depending upon the outing of Sean Markham, who is pitching elsewhere in the Valley of the Sun, Estrada would go 1 inning if Markham had a good outing. He would go 3 or 4 innings if Markham had a bad outing.
Basically hedging their bet to make sure that Markham was able to stretch it out long enough so that he could be the starter in the rotation if Sean Markham wasn't able to start the season in that rotation. So now it looks to me like Estrada will go back to the bullpen. Sean Markham seems well.
That's good news for the Brewers. But you hate to see any players that have worked so hard and get to spring training and then become injured, and there is a question mark, and that's still a question mark with the Dodgers left-hander Ted Lilly. If we find out anything, we will pass it along to you. Pop up, Lucroy runs out of room.
Lucroy had a lot of trouble finding that ball. Wasn't going to be able to sneak up on it because it landed on the other side of the fence anyway, but if there was any more room here, I don't think he would have got it. It's an art to those catchers knowing where the ball goes up in the air, and that's all about repetition. You just have to see it happen a bunch of times because it's not a natural reaction. When the ball is hit off the bat, it's not something that's easy to see. It's happening so fast. Ooh.
And that's not easy to see or to watch.
That ball got right up into the danger zone very quickly. That could have been up around Rivera's head. Looked like he took it off the forearm, but watch where that ball's headed. Right off the left forearm, I think.
It is truly remarkable what hitters can do in this game, and you lose sight of the speed that this game is played when you're watching it on television. You just don't get the radar gun type of speed that the ball is thrown, the ball is hit. But if you stop and think, a hitter standing in home plate has to discern if it's a fastball, curveball, slider, if it's a strike, if it's high, it's low, and then swing the bat and hit it. You want to know how much time you have? Well, if you take your car keys and hold them out in front of you and drop them to the floor, that's the amount of time a hitter has. You want to see what a hitter is in real time?
Ooh. I don't think my keys drop that fast.
You have to have heavy keys. Josh Fields, the batters, 0 for 2. Oh, a great bunt. And a terrific play by Estrada, who jumped on that ball in a hurry.
Well, I like that play right there by Josh Fields. Same thing that we saw earlier in the ball game with Justin Sellers. Fields wants to be able to show that, hey, if you put me in a game in a situation where I have to bunt, I can get it down. Generally, they're going to have him go up there and swing the bat. But he's in a situation showing a new organization all the different things that he can do for you. And I think that's a good opportunity right there to maybe bunt for a base hit. If you don't get it, you get the sacrifice, and you're moving a runner ahead.
A little bit closer to the third base line. It's a base hit for Fields. He gets the runner over. He is credited with a sacrifice bunt, which one of the rulings that has kind of changed is the interpretation of sacrifice bunts, which does not count as an official at bat against you in average wise. So here's A.J. Ellis, who has been on base twice. He has singled and walked. He's had a terrific spring. To third. Conrad stays with it, 2 down.
Yeah, I certainly used that rule to my advantage. There's plenty of times I saw a guy on base and figured I'm going to try to drag a bunt with me, and if they get me out, I'm going to get the sacrifice anyway, and we put a guy in the scoring position.
Ellis comes back to the dugout. Marco Estrada. Many in Southern California know exactly who he is. He was the number 6 round pick by the Nationals in 2005 out of Long Beach State. Born in Mexico, and then his family moved at an early age to Southern California. Went to Sylmar High School. 0-1 to Joe Becker. Becker will be joining us. We have seen him. He's going to be in the minor leagues. He has filled out the roster with a split squad action today for this Dodger club. Gets the start at second base. He's filled in various infield positions. 1 ball and 1 strike. Don Mattingly and company feel it's very important to get some of these young players. Oh, and they are years away if they continue to progress. But good to get the young players here to the big league camp. They get a look of what's going to be demanded of them.
Well, the other good thing is the meal money. I was asking a couple of the guys down there on the field today, what's the difference when you get called up to play in a big league game? And they said, we get $87 more for today. We're going to eat big. He said the only downside of it was our minor league game started at 10 o'clock today. Everyone's done. We might be hanging around here for a while. I said, I know, but you get a chance to maybe pinch hit in the 9th inning to win a game.
Just a thought, if you're playing in the 1 o'clock game, you also have a chance to get lunch in the locker room.
Yeah.
You play that 10 a.m. game, you're done and gone.
You can save your $87.
Estrada has had some injuries along the way, including a broken collarbone. Shoulder problems 2 years ago. Missed much of the season. Fouled off and out of play. Joe Becker. This is the 3rd game that he's played in.
Ishikawa down there kind of
Ishikawa saying, who put that wall and that tarp there in a hurry? The lemonade guy?
Down by the lemonade guy.
Just taking inventory. No lemonade lost. And Ishikawa could use a nice, cool lemonade right now.
I had a nice bump on his chin. Looked like he kind of tried to lay out right onto the tarp, and then all of a sudden there was no more tarp for him to lay down on.
Somebody moved the tarp on him.
That tarp doesn't get used very often.
Not in Arizona. It did, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if the guys actually knew how to do it. Saw the grounds crew running out there. They put the tarp on very quickly. Of course, it just kept raining really hard. They decided to call the game. It was in the 6th. And then it stopped raining about 20 minutes later, and it was a beautiful day again, but they had already said, all right, we've seen enough for today.
They had to read the manual on how to take it off in a hurry. Payoff pitch and call strike 3. So Becker is 1 for 3, a hit batter, a man left. We go to the 6th inning in Arizona. 4-1. good day to work on the tans. Dodgers have been working on the base hits and runs, leading at 4-1. Only 2 hits so far by left-handed starter Chris Capuano, pitching against his former teammates. And a good afternoon for the lefty. Good afternoon for those out on the grass area, as well as in the stands as well. Lemonade Man has worked hard. We have yet to see him, however. Top of the order, Ricky Weeks to face Capuano. Weeks again has had a tough spring. 14 strikeouts in 37 at-bats. He's 0 for 2 with a couple of punch-outs today. In spite of that, he started today at a .314 average. And it goes back to the same thing we were talking about Matt Kemp, the number provided by Tony Jackson, ESPN LA. When Matt Kemp this spring has put the ball into play, a .484 average. But Kemp has struck out a lot.
If you actually hit the ball, the game's easy.
Hitting the ball is not that easy.
Those really are amazing numbers because obviously if you put the ball in play, you have a chance to get a hit. But there are 9 guys standing around out there with nothing better to do but just get you out. It's their only job.
And the guys that can run fast, like a Ricky Weeks, like a Matt Kemp, stand a better chance with a ball put into play that you're going to beat it out, even if it's poorly hit. 3 balls and a strike. Of course, the Brewers, Cecil Fielder has moved on to Detroit. Corey Hart, by the way, played yesterday. Now, he had the knee surgery 3 weeks ago. He played yesterday in a AAA game. He's playing again today, so they think he's going to be ready. But how do you make up for a Fielder in your lineup from an offensive standpoint? Fielder also played pretty good first base, so Weeks is 0 for 3, grounds out. Bring on Carlos Gomez.
I just don't think there is any way to make up for what Cecil Fielder brought to this team. So I think you have to make an adjustment. To think that you're going to, Prince Fielder, Cecil, and this is his father, of course. Prince Fielder is a guy that just did everything at the plate. You're not going to make up that difference. And there's a lot of talk around the Milwaukee club that they're going to try to play better defense and become a better pitching team. Try to limit the runs scored against them.
First ball swinging to no avail by Gomez. 2 down. And Capuano, quite frankly, only the 2 hits he's given up. There were 2 balls hit hard in the 3rd inning, both caught by Jerry Hairston Jr. in left field. He's walked 1, a double play ball. And Ryan Braun receiving a very warm welcome as he comes to the plate for the 3rd time.
Well, Capuano's been great today from as far as what I've seen is because he stayed out of the middle of the plate. Done a really good job of working both sides of the plate and then up and down as well. Ron doesn't actually think that he was throwing at him, does he? Kind of gave him a stare.
And now, but this doesn't happen in spring training that often, where both sides are being warned. After Braun had hit a 1-2 pitch for a home run out over the left field fence. And here's a look at it.
He threw it behind him. Remember, we have had a Dodger get hit. We've also seen a ball sail straight over the top of Matt Kemp.
Yep.
So there's a little back and forth going on, but I don't think there's
what you
whole lot
also
of
like,
intent.
and you never know what the intent is, but the message was delivered without anyone being hurt. They say, look, we get some guys hit. All right, fine. We'll just send a message to your big guy in the lineup, and now let's move forward.
Yep.
Maybe you heard it in the background, the crowd of 5,714 on hand.
That number might come close to tripling tomorrow.
And it's going to be standing room only on Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday's game is here. That's right. This place holds nearly 14,000 people, and it'll meet all of them.
3-1. And Hairston has been busy in left field, this time in left center. The third, very good catch by Jerry Hairston Jr., a pitcher's best friend, and he sacrifices the body again. 4-1 Dodgers, and Hairston would get a cleaning bill. Well, we mentioned earlier about the Milwaukee Brewers. It appeared that they brought a lot of pitchers with them, and we're on a pace to see just about every one of them. Rob Wooten out of University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, comes in out of the bullpen. And some other changes for the Brewers. We'll pass those along as we get them. A change for the Dodgers. Good afternoon for starter Chris Capuano, who goes 6 innings. 1 run on just 2 hits. That run was the home run by Ryan Braun in the first inning. Gave up a leadoff single in the second. But a good afternoon for Capuano. And Trent Olson will come on as the pinch hitter. And Wooten's first pitch, a strike that it's in there. Wooten 6'1", 210. He was not a closer until his senior year at University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. And the Brewers picked him up the 13th round pick in 2008. No balls and 2 strikes to Olson. For Trent, the spring has not gone exactly as he would like it. Although he's hitting at 294. It's a numbers game, and it's not just the 294 numbers. It's the number of personnel in that decision area for outfielders. Got him.
You know, it seems strange when you look at what the Dodgers are looking for. It seems like right-handed hitters off the bench are generally a dime a dozen. Not so much this year, and that's kind of where the Dodgers are trying to make their decision. That last guy off the bench is going to be a righty. It's not going to be a lefty. They need a right-handed hitter, preferably with a little bit of pop and some versatility.
Jerry Hairston Jr. gets a nice round of applause as he comes to home plate, and why not? Hairston with 3 dazzling defensive plays. Jerry is singled, stolen the base. He's been hit by a pitch. 1 or 2 Dodger batters that have been plunked, and Matt Kemp played dodgeball as well. So Braun has a pitch thrown behind him. Brewers have also had a batter plunked. Can't be fun at the old ballpark. If you think spring training games don't mean anything.
Who says? It's amazing. For a lot of guys that are established players, spring training doesn't mean that much. You know you're going to make the club. You have the liberty to kind of work on some of your weaknesses, pay attention to what those are. Like if you're not good on pitches in, you can go to the plate, crowd the plate, try to make pitches more inside than they would be, try not to swing at anything that isn't inside. You can't do that if you're a guy struggling to try to make the club. You better go up there and hit the pitch you know you can hit.
So Hairston has done absolutely nothing to tarnish his spring and make this Dodger ball club. He's done it on both sides. Swing and a miss there. 3-2 is the count. But you would make the argument for Hairston in making the catches today. 2 of them sliding and diving catches.
Remember, Jerry Hairston finished the season last year with these Milwaukee Brewers into the playoffs. They picked him up from the Washington Nationals late in the season, and they told him, look, we like your versatility. You're going to probably play a lot of second base and a lot of center field for us. He ended up playing third base every day.
Popped up, and Masonette. Edwin Masonette just in the second base position for Milwaukee. Makes the catch. It's that wonderful time in the game, Steve, where you send out an APB for at least a checklist on some of the names. And as long as they are cross-referenced, we're fine. Here's Sellers.
A lot of shirts out there right now with just numbers and no names.
And large numbers.
And sometimes the number doesn't correspond to anyone's name. That's when it gets a little shaky.
Those are the guys that you're in charge of.
Yeah.
Sellers' his sacrifice bunt lined out to left and struck out. 0 for 2, takes a strike there. 0-2. As Wooten also trying to earn some letters above the 96.
As far as I can tell, this is Wooten's first major league appearance.
If it's not, they excluded him from the list. Ground ball. Well, 96 and no name or not, Wooten has a very impressive 1-2-3.
I don't know what's worse than not play or to just not be included.
Who is that guy? To the 7th, 4-1 Dodgers. We're going to have changes. The guys with the numbers and the names leaving. Along with some of the Dodgers, so some changes as we go to the top of the 7th inning. The score has not changed, 4-1 Dodgers. We want to remind you, you can follow the Dodgers with MLB.com at BAT12 for your iPhone, your iPad, and Android devices. You can get spring training scores, stats, highlights, live audio, and a whole lot more. Just text at BAT to 31826 or make it even more simple for you. Just visit Dodgers.com and to find out more. So Messrs. Lucroy, Hairston, Braun, and Weeks, they are leaving after a full afternoon, and Matt Guerrier takes over. Boy, terrific outing by Chris Capuano. Goes 6 innings, 1 run on 2 hits, 7 strikeouts for the left-hander. Conrad takes a strike 0-1.
Matt Guerrier happy to get back out there on the mound, making just his 3rd appearance. So he's going to have to play a little catch-up before opening day, maybe get a couple more appearances in. He's been nursing a little bit of a back problem. Happened after his appearance on March 11th.
Guerrier is one of those guys that command is right there, and the way that his ball moves, if he works the corners of the plate and gets the ball down, he's going to get a lot of ground outs. This one a fly ball, and more than just a fly ball, a home run on a 1-2 pitch. So the second time today the Brewers have homered with the count 1-2. Braun in the first, and Conrad here in the 7th. It's 4-2 Dodgers.
Well, I tell you what, you love to hit the ball to left center field here because it can jump out of here. That's called jumping the yard right there, Mo. Opposite field home run. This is a nice hard line drive into the gap. Just keeps carrying and carrying and gets right over the top of the fence.
So this is jumping the yard.
Jumping the yard.
Well, just barely over. Do you have to hit it way out? Because Ryan Braun really jumped out of the yard.
Yes, he did. But when you're a guy like me that didn't hit many home runs, even if the ball scrapes the back of the fence when it's leaving here, that's jumping the yard too.
Here's Edwin Masonette. Entered the ball game. He's hitting in the 5 spot that was occupied by Jonathan Lucroy. So this is entering that stage of the game where it's a great time to start reading.
Doing your homework, trying to learn something about some of these guys. You know, everybody starts somewhere, so a lot of these guys that you don't know anything about right now might be superstars in 3 years.
Mm-hmm. And I'm certain there'll be a lot more written by then. Guerrier, the easy play. So there's the first out of the 7th inning. I want to throw something by you that Don Mattingly was talking about early this morning. And as I began to hear it, it made a lot of sense. With ballparks having improved now, in particular with spring training facilities, Don was saying that he's lobbying really that maybe that baseball will look at the final week of spring training and play more night games. And the reason is it would help you get back on a what you're going to find for the most part during a regular schedule. That is the night games itself. The Dodgers have the benefit. They will have 2 night games against the Angels. One on Monday night in Anaheim, and then they go back home on Tuesday night. Wednesday's a day game. But the thought is just kind of coming around, would that be maybe beneficial for the players since the new ballparks have better illumination? The lights are better.
Getting used to playing games in the situation that you're going to play them in makes a whole lot of sense. And you think about it, the only 2 teams that play more day games than anybody else really are the Chicago Cubs, and the San Francisco Giants play a ton of day games as well, but everyone else plays at night. Should get used to it.
Good changeup by Guerrier.
My lobbying effort would be, even though I love the Freeway Series, and I think everybody still does in Southern California, kind of gets you pumped for the season. But it would be nice to have one off day right before the start of the season. The Dodgers are going to play every day right up until opening day.
Yeah. I really felt as a player that the Freeway Series was beneficial because you got into the atmosphere of Major League ballparks, the Major League lighting, which we will agree that the ballparks at the Major Leagues are illuminated better than they are in spring training.
Fans that care.
Yeah. And you start to develop the same habits. In other words, you're going to be home or where you are renting a place or where you are staying, and you get into a rhythm. You get into sync.
Yeah, that's, I think, more than anything why I'd like to see just at least one off day in this upcoming week. is for guys to be able to get settled. You know, get your family and figure out where you are living. A lot of these guys have already figured out where they're living, but they haven't been there yet.
Ishikawa draws the walk with 1 out. Cesar's Turris will turn around and bat from the left side. The switch hitter. He's 0 for 2. Grounded into a double play and struck out against Capuano. But it's something that Don Mattingly had talked about and says, you know, Ned Colletti, the general manager of the Dodgers, thinks it might be a good idea. And if not all night games, the final week of the season or spring training, then throw in a couple more and add to that number. No balls and a strike as this Turris bunts it foul.
Players are very much creatures of habit. They have their routines that they do. And it changes. If you're playing a day game, you have to do all those things at a different time. If you're playing at night.
Here's the other thought, too. I mean, quite frankly, I mean, this is a financial scheme of things, too. Would you draw better at night during spring training as well? Ground ball to first.
Like, there's no question they can mix in more night games.
It would present some other problems. If you're having more night games, you're talking about longer duration of time when you're talking about, well, not only the major league level, but also at the minor league level with all of those personnel and coaches and players and fundamentals. But it could be worked out. Ground ball should be 2 and is. So leadoff home run by Conrad. A 1-out walk in the double play. 1 run, 1 hit, nobody left. 4-2 Dodgers headed to the bottom of the 7th. The Dodgers leading it 4-2 here as we go to the bottom half of the 7th inning. Dodgers will take on the Diamondbacks in Scottsdale tomorrow, and Clayton Kershaw will pitch in that ball game. And on Sunday, back here at Camelback Ranch, Glendale, also against the Diamondbacks, Chad Billingsley will start in that one. So we will join you on Sunday, both radio and television. KLIC, AM 570, and also right here on Camelback Vision. Ground ball off the bat of Matt Kemp. And Rob Wooten starts off his 2nd inning of work with a ground out. A couple of other changes defensively for Milwaukee. Rafael Nita is doing the catching, takes over for Jonathan Lucroy. Left fielder is Kentrell Davis. And Andre Ethier. If you're joining us late, Ethier's had a big day. It's Ethier leading the Brewers 4-2. Andre had a 2-run double in the first, a 2-run home run in the third. You can tell it's towards the end of spring training. When people begin to look at their watches that have flights out. That time continues to approach, and some are headed to Los Angeles a couple of days early.
I would be one of those guys.
You would be one of those guys. There are some friends of ours in the TV truck that will probably be on that same airplane with you.
They're going to miss it. I may not.
Yeah, you've already notified everyone that if this goes late, they might as well turn your microphone off. You're leaving.
That's right.
3 balls and a strike to Andre Ethier.
I wanted to get back to the thing we were talking about before with the numbers that we see late in games and guys that are in the minor leagues and they get their chance to have a little day in the sun in a major league game. What was the first major league number you had?
You won't believe it.
The one you always had?
No. I joined my first spring training. I was sent to the minor league camp. And I was given a number higher than that one.
Higher than 96.
It was a triple-digit number because
man.
at the minor league level, they went overboard and did it. Pop up, and that's out of play down the left field line.
Remember the first spring training that Billy Martin had with the Oakland A's? They invited so many guys to camp that they had guys with triple digits. Mm-hmm. And that was in major league camp.
It's that point in the game where you can hear 1 or 2 voices very clearly if you're on the field playing. And you hope they're friends.
Yeah. You always hear the guys that don't like you. You know you're going to hear the lemonade guy.
If you are the person that is worrying about the one person in the room of 1,200 people, if you're worrying about that one person that maybe does not like you, this is not a good point in the game.
Either that or play well. Big scramble down the line for that foul ball.
They'll still get on you.
Yeah. So what were
There's the most popular man in the ballpark, the lemonade man.
He's working it too. So what were you, like number 107?
104.
Wow.
104.
That's impressive.
And they did it kind of as a joke because that was the reported bonus that I had received out of Arizona State.
Oh, there you go.
And Smokey, I cannot remember his name, was the equipment manager. And it was at Daytona Beach, and they shared, they being the Kansas City A's, a training facility with the Pittsburgh Pirates as Andre Ethier flies out the center. So Andre is 2 for 4 and has been a very productive 2.
Was their reporting accurate?
No. No. Juan Rivera is 0 for 2. He's also hit on the left forearm. The good news is for the Dodgers is it evidently it has not bothered his arm enough where he has had to part ways. Rivera's one of those guys too, is that he has the padding on the left elbow, which more and more players are doing. And for Rivera, it starts below the elbow and goes up to the tricep area. Good breaking ball.
Those pads have become so specialized these days. They're so comfortable. A lot of guys wear them even if they haven't been hit there, just for the protection in case they do.
Mm-hmm. Wooten, the 6th Brewer pitcher in this ball game, and they are warming up a 7th in the bullpen. Four to 2 Dodgers, bottom of the 7th inning. Opening day for this Dodger ball club next Thursday in San Diego. So Wooten has a very good 2 innings. 6 batters, nobody gets on base. We head to the 8th, 4-2 Los Angeles. Well, he doesn't have a plane to catch, but his afternoon has been completed for Matt Kemp. Was 1 for 3 in today's contest. After a big season last year, Kemp will part ways, and it's going to be Jamie Wright, one of many changes for this Dodger ball club. As we go into the top of the 8th inning, those that are going to scribble down some names, we'll give them to you very quickly, and then we'll let it go.
It could take you the whole inning.
Justin Sellers goes from short to third. Jake Limmerman now at shortstop. Travis Dinker remains at second base. Jeff Paisley takes over at first. Trent Olchen goes from left to center. Kyle Russell is in left, and Blake Smith is in center. And Matt Wallach is behind the plate, and there will be a quiz in 5 minutes.
I'm out.
Yeah, you're gone to catch a plane. Only 3 hits by the Brewers today, so Capuano went a strong 6 innings, a bouncer. Lemmerman, nice play on the run. We've seen Lemmerman in a couple of different positions, including late in the ball game at second base yesterday.
Fielder number 28, Kentrell Davis.
So there's 1 down.
Well, the kid gets a chance to play. Limmerman sat with a friend of his on the flight over yesterday and didn't know who he was, and now we do.
Here is Kentrell Davis, his first at bat. So Davis came on in left field. Lemmerman again. Boy, you could see the footwork. He had an almost impossible play to begin with because Davis runs pretty well.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, he made a nice play, and then it looked like he just might have caught a cleat there where he was trying to get his feet up underneath him, and then took the big tumble after that. See him going up the middle. Good strong reach, but that front foot just caught in the grass there, and he couldn't get his steps down.
Infield single for Davis, who's had limited action so far during the spring. Here's Nita, the catcher. Rafael Nita.
So you never told me, did you eventually whittle your way down from number 104?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Went to 28. Then to 7. And then when I went to the Dodgers, because it's all about the numbers. Steve Yeager had number 7. Rounder, and that's over the head of Sellers. And all the way to third scampers Davis. So it's first and third at the corners for Milwaukee with just one out.
The center fielder, number 27, Carlos Gomez.
Jamie Wright getting the ground balls, but not getting them in the right spots right now.
Late in the afternoon, that infield is rather hard, and the bounces are rather high. So Steve Yeager had number 7. So I asked for the Sesame Street 7, a 1 and a 6 put together. Carlos Gomez is the batter.
Play the lottery with all my numbers. I had 4 different numbers just with the Red Sox. Every time I came back, they gave me a different one. My first number was 54.
Here's a rocket hit to left field, and what is your term that you use?
He just jumped the yard.
Well, Carlos Gomez was 0 for 3. Well, you can cancel the 0 for 3. He is a big 1 for 4. And the Brewers take the lead 5-4. And for Gomez, his first home run of the spring.
You would think that he would hit more home runs. His game is speed. The guy can absolutely fly, but he's 6'3", 220. Hammered that ball.
A Guerrero with 2 infield singles he gives up. Now the home run, and now here's another high bouncer off this hard infield.
Third baseman, number 14, Brooks Conrad.
And just in case you want a full book, that was number 91, Hanley Stacia. His name will also be included on the soon-to-be-given quiz. Here's Conrad.
Only has 2 numbers, though, not 3.
So were you disappointed with the numbers that, or did you have a choice when they're, or just happy to have the uniform?
Yeah, usually happy to have the uniform. When I finally made the big league team and with the Red Sox, they gave me number 12, and so I was happy with that. I traded to the White Sox, and they gave me 18. Didn't really want that. And then they made some changes in the next season, and numbers shifted around and went back to 12.
Sellers. And that'll do it. But what's the term you use?
Someone jumped the yard.
That Gomez did. 5-4 Milwaukee. spring training version of the WWF. 5-4. Brewers leading the Dodgers. All 4 runs for the Dodgers ball club knocked in by Andre Ethier this afternoon. The Brewers have had 3 home runs. 2 of them solo shots, one by Braun, another one by Brooks Conrad, and then the big blast, first of the spring by Carlos Gomez, a 3-run shot. So in the outfield on the grass, the kids, it's the best 2 out of 3 for the Dodgers here against the Milwaukee Brewers. They will face yet another pitcher, Victor Garate.
Garate's hard to find in the book, but not on the stat sheet. He's made 2 appearances so far down here, thrown 2 innings, given up 3 hits. Got an ERA of 4.50.
Garate out of Venezuela, 6'2", 185. You just had the wrong publication.
Hate it when I can't find him in the media guide.
So with his Dodger ball club, Jake Limmerman comes on his first at bat. Ground ball. And Masonette throws to a new first baseman, Sean Halton. So it's that fun time of the afternoon. It's a fun time, and I would imagine a nervous time for Pop down in the third base coaching box, Tim Wallach. And the reason, well, his son, Matt Wallach, who entered as the catcher in the top half of the inning, is now batting. So it's lefty against lefty. And if you're Pop, how do you stay calm?
You try to act like you're cool, and he's doing a good job of that, but he's not. Very nervous, proud. Probably wishes that Matty got a chance to see a right-hander in his at-bat instead of this lefty.
Well, a good swing against the lefty, but a fly ball to left. And that's 2 outs. So Wallach actually stayed in there very nicely against the left-hander. Here's Travis Dinker. By the way, Victor Garate signed as a free agent with the Astros originally. Just in case you were wondering, Steve, as you're looking at your watch and wondering how much time you have to get to the airport. Fastball, sweeping slider, and a changeup for those that want to get technical and write it down.
He's a big guy with a live arm out there, and especially throwing it with his left hand. It's always going to get you an extra look from a lot of different organizations. We told the story about Scott Rice, who's played in the minor leagues. This is his 14th season. He has an outside chance of making this team now with the potential injury to Ted Lilly.
Well, Garate was actually found a quote from Dodgers assistant general manager, director of player relations, DeJohn Watson, who said 2009, it says Garate aggressive in the strike zone. But he has moved around a few different organizations. Dinker pops it up in an easy inning. Garate out of Venezuela, as we mentioned, the 8th pitcher that's used. Starting lineup, nothing like what's on the field right now. 5-4 Milwaukee. His first appearance with the Dodgers coming out of the bullpen. Sprinting out of the bullpen, manager Don Mattingly was a little surprised. He was wondering if the parachute of Todd Coffey was going to deploy once he reached the infield dirt. Well, it did. And for Coffey, really a good addition with his Dodger ball club. Will take over here in the top of the ninth.
Well, we were afraid with D. Gordon standing on the mound that if he didn't slow down, D. Gordon would have just gotten flattened, I guess. Coffey knows these Brewers very, very well. He's pitched with them for over the last couple seasons. We've got to settle it down here a little bit in spring training again. He's been getting blown up here a little bit in his last couple of appearances. His ERA up over 8 now. Giving up runs in 3 of his last 4 stints.
Edwin Masonette, the first batter here in the top of the ninth. 5-4 Brewers. Milwaukee, they got out to a 1-0 lead on a home run in the first by Ryan Braun, his second of the spring. The Dodgers took the lead, the 2-run double in the bottom half of the same inning by Andre Ethier. Dodgers in made it 4-1. The 2-run home run by Andre Ethier. Andre's accounted for all Dodgers runs this afternoon, and then the Brewers 1 in the 7th and 3 in the 8th, and the home run by Carlos Gomez, his first of the spring. 0-2 to Masonette.
Until 2 days ago, the Dodgers had gone all spring and didn't lose back-to-back games. If they don't pull this one out, it'll be their 4th loss in a row.
Todd Coffey, out of high school, weighed 305 pounds. He decided to lose weight. He went on a chicken diet. He also worked out, got up before the sun even came up, worked out. And he purchased chicken in 80-pound bags. And they didn't last long.
I was going to say, does that help you lose weight?
A lot of nervous chickens around the country.
Well, it was a great story about Deshaun Watson was in the Cincinnati organization when they drafted him, and he was supposed to be a draft and follow guy. They wanted to draft him, let him go to college somewhere, they'd check him out, and then come back and see if he wanted to sign later. And Todd said, no, I want to sign. And so it was maybe the first time in history where they literally drafted a guy and did not want to sign him. And the player wanted to sign so bad. You legally have to make an offer to somebody to sign them if you draft them. They offered him $1,000 and he took it.
Yeah.
That's a guy that wanted to play.
He was 17. He was a 41st round selection. And he comes from baseball experience. His grandfather, AT Coffey, played minor league baseball. Ground ball, boy, nice hop. The Limmerman, and Baisley clanked it.
That ball was hugging the ground the whole way, and then it popped up. I don't know if that surprised him a little bit. He hung with it nicely, and then just kind of threw it in the dirt right there. Baisley couldn't make the play.
Well, Baisley went out to scoop it if he lets it come to him and brings it into the fold. But that's a throw that needs to be better, no question about that, and especially when you get that nice autographed hop. So Coffey will have a little extra work to do. Klein comes on to bat. First time we've seen him this afternoon. Runners going on a hit and run, and it's hit foul. I think the only person that we have not seen that the Brewers brought today is the bus driver.
No, he's putting a uniform on right now.
He's getting loose.
Just doesn't have a name on his back.
See the double look, the Coffey. It's an unorthodox look to begin with.
Yeah, he looks at you.
Well, he looks over his right shoulder, not his left shoulder.
Crazy.
And he says it's because of the setup, although the setup that he has to begin with is a straightaway setup. No, he's not checking it second, he's checking it first. You know, the other thing is, too, is that runners will have liberties because they know that he's not going to throw it to first until he turns his head. If you're looking over the right shoulder, you can't throw from that position.
Yep.
Unless you're a contortionist. And he'd be with Cirque du Soleil if that were the case.
I would also think as a base runner that I would try to get a bigger lead, because unless he has really, really good peripheral vision, he can't possibly see as much of the runner looking over that shoulder as he could going the other way.
But he says this is the natural way for him to do it. He can turn, he can see the runner in his peripheral vision. He said because of the setup, but the setup is pretty well straight away. Well, now he can look back over the right shoulder and see the runner at second base. So an error and a single, 2 on, nobody out.
Well, the Dodger bullpen today has let this club down. It was supposed to be one of the strengths of this ball club all season long.
First look at Sean Halton, who took over at first base for Travis Ishikawa. Folks, if you're keeping score right along with you, or along with us, I would imagine that your scorebooks are jam-packed, just as ours.
There's not enough different color ink to make all the changes that we've made.
The scorebook with all of the people that have been in. There have been, for example, 3 different left fielders for the Dodgers, 2 different right fielders, 2 different center fielders. Goes on and on and on, and then all the pitchers. 3 different left fielders for the Brewers, too. The scorebook looks more like a mosaic. Well, that looks like an oil painting there, and that's going to go for extra bases. That will get at least 1 run. And Ed Cedar is holding up the 2nd run, but it's not been a good outing thus far for Todd Coffey. An error on the first ground ball that was hit. Now back-to-back singles. This one an RBI double. It's 6-4 Brewers.
Well, a good piece of hitting right there for Sean Halton. You hope that he's got some family watching this game, maybe. Just drilled a ball right over the second baseman's head, and excellent opposite field hitting for him. Now, these days it's in vogue to wear a number 99, but I'm not so sure that that was Halton's choice.
Michael Reed, his first at bat, will come on as a pinch hitter. And what can you tell us about Mr. Reed? Other than the fact he's here.
He's wearing number 73 today.
Okay. As Steve looks frantically through his
it's
book.
Tough to find the minor league guys. You know, there's a lot of pages in this thing.
No, I found him.
You got him already?
The internet is a wonderful device. I think it's going to last. Ball outside, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Mr. Michael Reed, Brewers' 5th round pick out of Leander High School in Texas. So he signed just last year, played 14 games. So it turned down a scholarship really to Ole Miss. And if the name sounds familiar, Benton Reed will played football at Mississippi before a brief NFL career. Very athletic family. Switch hitter, standing at home plate, which I don't believe that the publication I'm looking at is correct. If he's a switch hitter, he would not be batting right-handed against a right-handed pitcher.
You would think not. The media guide, however, says that he bats and throws right. So I think that the internet might be taking a big crash.
He was also a high school pitcher, clocked at 90 miles an hour. And folks, that is the extent of what we can find. Other than that he is a fine young man.
You know what I like best about this kid? Other than that, just 19 years old. He's got his whole career in front of him, that's
yes,
for sure.
He does. Just signed last year, and we talked earlier about the younger players and being invited. And that shouldn't happen to a kid just signed out of high school last year. Paint the outside corner in a 3-2 pitch. This game is a little bit different at this level, no question.
He walked up there and seeing everyone else get a bunch of hits, and he figures, hey, I got a good shot here, but
Kentrell Davis.
Put him on here to set up the double play if possible. See if you can get Todd Coffey to throw one of those sinking fastballs, hit the ball on the ground, and let your infield do the work.
Well, there's a couple of people here in the ballpark that this is not a popular move, but if you're going to bring in your reliever and you're going to play, and we're in the latter stages, 6 days left before it really counts. Next Thursday in San Diego, the season opens for the Dodgers against the Padres. This is a time, and the coaches and managers are going to play it very close to the vest and play it as they would see it during the season. I mean, this is what you're gearing for.
Yeah, I don't think it matters who's on the field. And as we said before, you know, we certainly don't try to make fun. It's just obvious that there's a lot of guys in this game that we've never seen before. There's very little information on them. But these guys are professional baseball players. They all want to play hard, and there's no reason not to play the game the way it's supposed to be played, regardless if it's your star players out there or some guy that's in Double-A for you or a kid that was 19 years old and just signed last year. You're still playing the game of baseball the way you're supposed to do it.
It's the same thing that Don Mattingly and the coaching staff told all of the Dodger players when they reported the very first day of spring training. He said, look, we want you to play the game right. Not because we want you to play the game right, because it has to be played right. Here's Nita. Had a base hit his first at bat, and he did not come close to that one. So a good time for a double play ball, 1 out. 1 run across, 6-4 Brewers, top of the 9th inning. Good afternoon by Chris Capuano, who started, went 6 very strong innings. Cued foul, 0-2.
Nada's not seeing it very well. Those are back-to-back swings.
Well, Nita's his heart was in that swing, but his backside was not buying into the program.
It was over by Don Mattingly.
Moving one way and trying to hit it the other.
You can do it sometimes, but it's not recommended.
It's not in the operating manual.
No, it's not the way they teach it.
1 ball and 2 strikes. The other thing that we're seeing also here is Matt Wallach doing the catching. Made sure that he got down, blocked that ball. Did it very nicely.
They say he's really developing nicely behind the plate. He's been back there a few years now. When he was in college, he bounced around and played a few different positions, but he's been exclusively a catcher now in his professional career. Catching is just a tough position to get really, really good at. It takes a number of years.
Is watching Wallach. He's doing one thing. Steve Yeager's looking on from the dugout. And we talked about this yesterday with A.J. Ellis. One of the things that Wallach does is he elevates his backside. In other words, he's not down in a full crouch. He's up. And what Yeager believes very strongly, it enables you to move better laterally. So he'll get up in the stance, but he'll raise up the backside right there. Good pitch by Coffey. So second out and trying to get out of the top of the 9th inning without further damage. Second strikeout by the right-hander. Shea Bucinich. Bucinich. Comes on as the hitter. And that's going to score a boatload. 2 runs, and here's the third one, the relay, and the tag not in time. So Coffey's had a rough time. Did not start off very well. An error on the first ground ball that he was able to entice the Brewers hitters. Well, it doesn't matter the numbers when you execute correctly. That's a good swing.
Yeah, and good time to do it, too. If you're a Brewers fan right there, you notice all those guys on base, good speed.
So Mattingly coming out, and Coffey will follow as we get bullpen action here. So not a good afternoon. It doesn't matter which shoulder you're checking the runners over, the left or the right.
Especially if you're doing it too much.
Youngsters trying to earn their names along with the high numbers. They get to Todd Coffey. A pitching change. Back to tell you about that in a moment. Sean Tollison, a young right-hander. The Dodgers are very high on him. He was the Dodgers' Brance Rickey minor league pitcher of the year last year with a 1.17 earned run average. Facing Smith, it takes inside, 1 ball and 1 strike.
Yeah, this guy's had some eye-popping minor league numbers just a couple seasons, but his career minor league ERA is just over 1.01.
He's out of Baylor University. He was a pre-dentistry major.
Another Texas kid.
57 relief appearances, single A Great Lakes last year. 25 saves, went 7-2. And again, that ERA 1.17. Sean Tollison. Athletic family. His uncle and cousin both played football at Texas A&M. And Tollison, a 2-time preseason All-American in Baylor. Swing and a miss, and that's going to do it, but not before the Brewers put 4 runs on the board in the top of the 9th inning. It's time to play catch up. 5 down, 9-4 Milwaukee. Bottom half of the ninth inning, 9-4 Brewers. Dodgers held a 4-1 lead until Milwaukee came up with 3 runs in the 8th. They took the lead and then added to it in the top of the 9th with 4. Trent Holchin will start it off. Victor Garante is still in there. The 7th Brewer pitcher used this afternoon. There's a ground ball to second. 1 pitch, and there's 1 down as Masonette throws out Holchin. So Trent 0 for 2 after coming on as a pinch hitter. Jeff Baisley comes on his first at bat. And Steve, I notice you have streamlined the desk in front of you, so you can make sure to make a flight.
It is going to be a quick exit after that 3rd out.
It's always a pleasure to see the Hall of Famer Jaime Jarrín.
Indeed.
Coming in for the weekend to do the broadcast.
I thought maybe he was coming in to pinch hit for us.
If the Dodgers come up with 5 and it goes extra innings and you need to catch your flight, I'm certain that the Hall of Famer would at least sit in for you.
Only if I'm nice to him.
Jaime will be joined by Pepe Enegas and Fernando Valenzuela. Good swing, fouled it straight back. Charlie and I will be back with you on Sunday. The final game over here in Arizona. Arizona Diamondbacks. So we will join you radio and television on Sunday. AM 570, KLAC on the radio side, of course, right here on Camelback Vision.
Double duty.
Chad Billingsley will face Daniel Hudson in that one.
I'm going to throw out a shameless plug. I'm tweeting now.
Are you?
Yes, I am. So anyone out there that's interested can follow me at Steve Lyons 12.
Will you update them to make sure that when you make the flight?
Yeah, I should. I sent out a nice tweet of today's ball game, a nice picture.
Well, Baisley was headed to first, but I think home plate umpire Mike Lusky may be on that same flight.
He is. Had a little talk with him a couple innings ago.
Oh. Here's Justin Sellers. Hitless in 3 at-bats. Also laid down a sacrifice bunt. Lined out the left, struck out, and then grounded out to shortstop. Dodgers down to their final out of the ball game. 9 runs, 9 hits, an error for Milwaukee. 4 runs, 6 hits, 1 error for the Dodgers in front of 5,714. On an absolutely gorgeous afternoon, game time temperature was 84 degrees, while in Milwaukee, if they were listening to this one on their radio side, it was 38 degrees at game time in Milwaukee.
Ouch. That's why they do it here.
1-1 pitch. Breaking ball that drops in. And I think Mike Lusky is not only going to be on that flight, I think he's going to be up front.
You know, the time of day where you better go up hacking. Anything close, you better be swinging.
1-2 is outside. I have to tell you, I've never done a broadcast with a partner that has his hand already on his briefcase.
I didn't streamline. I cleaned up.
Guys in the truck, they have the key to put in the door and lock it up. Here's the 2-2, and you can lock it up, guys. That's going to do it. Well, the Dodgers held on, and then the Brewers finally came back. Steve, we hope you make your flight. Guys in the truck, we make your flight. We're back here on Sunday. Reminder again, Diamondbacks will be in, so radio and television, AM 570 on the radio side right here on Camelback Vision. So radio pregame at 12:30, TV pregame at 1. Chad Billingsley against Daniel Hudson. So it's the Brewers 9-4 over the Dodgers. So we'll do it again on Sunday. Hope you can join us. Hope it's a very enjoyable afternoon and evening. So from all of us here at Camelback Ranch, Rick Mundy along with Steve Lyons, 9-4 Brewers. So long, everybody.